Hello everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video we will be going through an unboxing and review of Voyager class Optimus Primal, and this version of Optimus Primal is straight out of the Rise of the Beasts Transformers movie, which as of this video recording is now available everywhere but Australia. Although I take that back, I think there was some advanced screenings, but unless you went to those, you're still waiting about another 2 weeks. Anyway, coming to the tail end of the mainline unboxings and reviews. So before Primal, I did do Rhinox, which was probably about a week ago now by the time this finally goes up. But anyway, yeah. So with that out of the way, front of the packaging for Optimus Primal, nice CGI shot of his beast mode, and we do get to see Optimus, well, Primal, through the window in his robot mode, and doesn't look too bad. Not too sure about the colorings, but time will tell. So that's pretty much the front of the packaging. Side, we just have another shot of Primal in his beast mode, as well as the Voyager class, and that's just a continuation of the other side of his CGI art. Now, as for the back of the packaging, 24-step conversion between his beast mode and his robot mode. Now, I don't know if it's just the art image used. I'm not too sure about some of these colors here, for me anyway. But I think some of the figures have had some variations in the stock images and the actual final product, so I don't know, maybe it won't be as, I'll say eye-catching, because it is eye-catching, but not necessarily eye-catching for the right reasons. The grey on the other hand does look pretty good. We'll see. So that's the back of the box. So with that being done, time to open up the box, get Primal out, and have a better look at everything. And with Primal out of his packaging, what do we have? 2 sword accessories, Primal himself, and his manual. And I'm actually relieved. So the colours for Primal, compared to what were on the back of the box, definitely were different. And he does look a lot more visually pleasing with all these silver trimmings throughout his body. So that was definitely a relief. But we'll have a look at that later on. So the accessories move over there, which by the way, I actually also like the look of those ones, because they're a smaller profile from some of the previous ones that he's had, e.g. his Kingdom. Maybe I might not chop his head off. Manual. Usual steps on how to equip and store weapons. Very nice that he can dual wield his swords. Well, dual wield? No. Single dual. This. He does that. That's good. Leave it at that. My word usage is terrible. First 12 steps of the transformation process doesn't look too bad. Doesn't feel like it's a complete copy and paste of his Kingdom figure, which is good. But it does look like there's some similar attributes and features within the transformation process. The last, 12 odd steps, which isn't too bad. Now, some of this does actually remind me of the Kingdom figure, especially with those last few steps, but that's okay. And once again, we're still continuing this weird notion of storing weapons in a beast mode. Once again, not a terrible idea, just looks weird. Manual. Okay, before we look at Primal himself, we'll just have a look at one of his accessories. So one of his swords, very nice. So the blade itself is in a nice silver, the rest is pretty much just a bit of a dark grey, but as I mentioned earlier, I actually quite like the general profile of the blade being a bit smaller. Now, in terms of equipping, so Primal can hold each one in his own 2 hands, like so. Which is very cool. Although now that he's holding them, they actually do look a touch on the small side. So that's if he's using single. As we've seen from the manual, he can also do double, which is very nice. Just be careful when you're pushing them in that you don't accidentally push one of them out. We just need to be careful that you have enough space to equally have them held. And then lastly, in terms of storage, so there'll be some tabs on the back, and they just tab in like so. Admittedly, they do actually tab in quite nicely on the back. They don't look too bad. Now, even though I did say I liked the smaller profile, looking at them on Primal, they actually do feel slightly smaller than they should be, but when the time comes I might actually pull out the ones from Kingdom Primal and see how those ones would look on this one. But that's the accessories, so we'll have another look at these once he's in his beast mode. So Optimus Primal, before we get too carried away, yes, you can stand on your own 2 feet without any problems. View of Primal from the front, the side, the back, the other side, and just a nice close-up of the detailing on his head and his chest plate. Now he does have a Maximal insignia on the top of his chest there, but colouring, it's very much blurred into that main chest piece, so you do have to make sure you don't blink to see it. So in terms of colours, so he's definitely sporting his more traditional darker colours. I'd say it's very much a dark grey, borderline graphite. Not quite black, but getting close. But he does have all this silver trimming around, and he does have some more of this lighter grey for the hands and the feet and things like that. But overall, it all works very, very well. Actually, seems to be quite unifying. And even the detailing on his head is very nice, especially with the extra blue for his eyes. So overall, I'd say visually, they have done quite well with this version of Primal. Everything looks good. The combination of that techno-organic look is also very good. Not as distinct as we've seen in others, but still very impressive. And proportions wise, he actually does seem quite good. Now, articulation. What can you do? Not a good way to start. So in terms of articulation, the head can definitely do lefting and righting, but don't expect a full 360. There's a very small head tilt. So that's a bit unfortunate that the head itself will be somewhat encumbered basically by the actual neck area itself. So you can still get some movement there, which is good. It's not completely locked forward, but just keep that in mind when you're doing dynamic poses and stuff like that. You may need to offset the head movement with more body movement. In terms of the arms, so we get a nice full 360 without any issues there. The arm can go all the way to the side. Obviously the shoulder area will move as well as need be to go with the arms, so that is always a very cool thing. I will actually mention, just make sure that you have this breastplate tabbed in quite nicely and securely, otherwise it will feel like it's on the loose side if it's not tabbed in nicely up here, which I found out when I took them out of the packaging. In terms of the arm, what else can you do? So we do have a nice rotation there at the upper arm. In terms of the shoulder elbow, just slightly over 90 degrees, but it also will not go back. But it has a nice little locking component as well, so you can pretty much lock the arm straight down, and then as soon as you unlock it, you can start that movement as well. So that's the elbow. The hand will have a good 360 spin as well, which also helps. So arms overall pretty standard with the level of movement. The waist. Now I'm going to lift this back a bit up just in case. The waist can do a full 360. On the provision, you probably need to lift up this back tab because it pretty much does lock things into place. Now, yes, you can still do things once it unlocks, but obviously just bear in mind it may look a little visually clunky. In terms of legs, I'm not going to try going any further. So not quite the full splits, but a good degree of. Leg can go all the way to the front, and watch me untab that bit of that chest plate. I swear, all these mainline figures, maybe with the exception of Air Razor, just has a piece that really likes to get on my nerves. Anyway, leg to the front. Now if I do that, and also do the inner back skirting, the back leg, well, the leg can only go that far back, so it's not terrible. It's not a full stretch to the back like you do with the front, but just keep that in mind. And I have a feeling it's because it just hits things. So that's actually not too bad there. In terms of what else, so we do not have any, well, we have a little bit of rotation at that upper thigh area, which is good. So you can roll the leg inward, you can roll the leg outward. And once again, watch that bit on tab. There won't be any other movement in the upper thigh other than that rolling of the hip socket itself. In terms of the knee, if I just bring the legs there, so not quite 90. It's not the best knee bend, but it's definitely there. And in terms of the feet, so have some nice side to side. We'll have some rather detached up and down. You may not want to do that too often because it does look a little bit weird. So you'll definitely get a bit of that side to side, which is good. I have noticed these bits also like to fold themselves back in, so no doubt that's part of the transformation process. See, that chest bit is just going to get to me. Not as bad as Bumblebee, but thank goodness. So that is a quick look at the robot mode side for Optimus Primal. Articulation, pretty standard. There's nothing here that's really screamed at me that he's going to be an overly expressive and well dynamically posed figure, which is fine. It doesn't need to be, but I will admit the colors and the detailing for the robot mode have definitely been more of the highlights of the robot mode. So now that I've done that, time to figure out transformation. Get him into his monkey mode. And with Primal now in his beast mode. Transformation definitely wasn't too bad. The first 12 odd steps were pretty intuitive and easy, and it actually did remind me a bit of his kingdom, but even if it was loosely based on his kingdom, it's a very heavy retool. So that actually wasn't too bad. The last 12 steps, once again, they weren't too bad. I think the only thing that threw me a little bit was just getting the positioning of his back legs right, which surprisingly enough the kingdom figure was a little bit weird for as well. So I'd say overall the transformation is definitely pretty good. It's the first time will always be the most interesting one because you're just trying to figure out where everything is, but I think overall I was quite happy with it, which is always a good thing. So here we have Primal in his beast mode. So Primal from his front, his side, from the back, the other side, and just a bit of a close-up of his gorilla head and a bit more of his general gorilla body. Now, whilst the blue is nice, I think some of the detailing for his beast mode head has, I don't think it's been treated fairly and equally like some of the detailing and color apps as his robot head have. So it's unfortunate. I mean, the detailing is still there, but I think some of the paint apps have been somewhat skipped. But this is also just a main line, it's not a studio series. It seems to be just a common trend of the subline itself. Now I do have the swords attached to his back. It's the exact same attachment point per his robot mode. Now, once again, I'm not a huge fan of attaching weapons, especially to beast mode based Transformers, because they just look really weird. But for the sake of the video, there they are. It's the same attachment points. That's pretty much it. And if I was to take them off like so, that's pretty much what he looks like. Probably a bit more natural and normal looking. Now, as for the beast mode itself, so the colors are still very much the same. We do see more of the dark grey graphite, more so in his beast mode. We do still see some of that light grey for the hands because the hands are still the same, and we do still see some of the silver trim throughout, but it's definitely not as noticeable as it was in his robot mode. In terms of articulation, so his head can definitely move up and down, which is good. In fact, it's probably got a bit more movement than his robot head had. I will say a bit. It doesn't have a lot, but I think the main thing is that he definitely has a bit more rotation available. In fact, if I try hard enough, you actually can do a bit of a semi-360 with his gorilla head. So it does actually have more articulation than the robot, which is okay. It's not too bad. Depends which modes you prefer him to be in. The arms, well, I'm not going to go through the arms. The arms are exactly the same. I have put the shoulders down as opposed to keeping them to the side because I just find, to me, I think it would be a bit more natural for those shoulders to be more downward than facing upward. Hands are still the same, elbows are still the same, it's the same arm. As for the legs, well, we do still have some of the little side to side here with the feet. The legs can still go backwards and forwards, and otherwise, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. They are still the same as they were before, and I'm sure if you wanted to, you could actually make him be more of a bipedal monkey, like so. Similar to his Kingdom figure, really. Although I think this time around it's probably not as forgiving, just because of some of the way that the figure has been constructed and put together. So it can definitely be done. Can he definitely still stand? Yeah, he can definitely still stand. Just bear in mind, you're going to have some very visually clunky elements in those upper legs. The back definitely doesn't look too bad either. So I'll just put him back in his more of his watch me struggle with this now, because I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did it anyway. Oh, there we go. Done it the wrong way, of course. Okay, there we go. Okay, back into his gorilla mode, and to be honest, that actually does look a lot better. Okay, so Primal, I'm just going to put you there. Bring these back into view, but I'm not going to attach them. And then your manual. So, is everything in view? Sure. The robot mode, visually, looks really, really good. I think it's good that some of the detailing, the color apps are all there. Accessory storage and usage, not a problem there. And articulation, it's pretty standard for a Voyager, nothing mind-blowing, but I don't think there's anything on the subpar note. Could have been a bit better in the legs, could be a little bit better with some of the elbow stuff, but overall it's definitely not too bad. So I think overall his robot mode, I quite liked it, and visually I think the detailing looks a lot better, especially comparing his robot head to his gorilla head, where the robot head I thought actually did look visually better. The included accessories are very nice, and at some point in time I'll just have to try picking up some of the other weapons from other Primal figures just to look at scaling, because individually they look okay. I quite like it. I like the smaller profile. I might actually do that just to make it easier, but yeah, when you compare it on the actual figure, the profile does look completely different. So back to the robot mode, I quite liked it. I think there's a lot of visually pleasing things there. and definitely glad it's not what was on the back of the packaging in terms of some of the trim colors. The transformation, pretty solid and intuitive. If you've done the Kingdom figure, I think you'll probably find there's a lot of common steps, which does make me think it's probably a heavy retool. But I think some things were actually done pretty well, especially with the chest gimmick. It actually did feel a lot more smoother than Primal's Kingdom figure. The legs were a little bit confusing, but I think Primal's legs overall are always confusing. So the transformation overall, pretty solid, pretty intuitive. Try it 2 or 3 times. I think you'll get the knack of it pretty quickly. As for his beast mode is still pretty good as well. Like visually it looks very good, the colors are quite nice. I think my only fault is it's unfortunate his gorilla head didn't receive some of the same paint apps and detailing like his robot head did. I think had it gotten some of those extra details, it would have looked a lot better. I'm still very dubious about the usage of the blue on his eyes as well, especially compared to his robot eyes, which seem very clear-cut and precise. The ones for his beast mode, not as clean and not as precise, but his beast mode does have articulation, but I wouldn't say it's the ultimate feature of the beast mode. And to be honest, I think it's the same with all the beast modes of all general beast-based Transformers, where it's nice that they have the articulation, but it's not the same oomph as you would see with their robot mode. But overall, I think it's done quite well. So, Optimus Primal as a mainline Voyager class figure, he's actually really good, in the sense that for what we have. Everything is nice, he looks good, decent articulation. Now, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I cannot obviously confirm or deny how on-screen accurate he is, but overall, I think up until we get a studio series figure, assuming we do, this actually isn't too bad a addition to the collection. To a point where I almost feel like I slightly prefer this more over than Kingdom Primal. As a figure, that is. Naturally, I prefer Kingdom Primal overall because of the aesthetics and homage back to original Beast Wars. But I do appreciate mileage will vary with that. So I would say if you are after a Rise of the Beasts version of Optimus Primal, for what we have available, he's actually pretty solid. Very hard to really fault him on anything. I'd say he's definitely a nice addition to the Voyager class range, and to be honest, I'm actually feeling better vibes out of the Voyagers so far than I did with the Deluxes. I think some of the Deluxes were a lot more hit and miss. The Voyagers actually haven't been too bad. So Rhinox wasn't too bad. Primal hasn't been too bad. I'm hoping Prime isn't too bad, but time will tell. So I'm going to wrap things up there with the unboxing and review of Voyager class Optimus Primal from the mainline Rise of the Beasts figure line. Yeah, if you see him, grab him. Really. If he's cheaper, even better. But yeah, I'd say it's a nice little pickup for the collection. Now with Primal now out of the way, it does mean that Optimus Prime is left on the to-do list, so hopefully that'll come up in the next few days once, well, as of this going live, which in itself could still be a few days between me recording it and when it goes live. Hopefully sooner rather than later, just because the movie is out, and I'm sure people are probably pinging the internet and YouTube for various Rise of the Beasts stuff anyway, so we'll see how things go. But yeah, there we go. Not a bad figure. I'm definitely happy with him and don't feel like I have any weird buyer's remorse. Unlike unlike Deluxe Bumblebee from the main line. There's some regret there, but look at the video. If you haven't already, you'll see why. Thank you very much for watching this unboxing and review video. Feel free to leave a like or comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account. Link to that is in the description below. And whether you're brand new and still listening to this part of the video, or you're an oldie and just know how I do stuff, there should also be a supplementary short of Optimus Primal, just to do a bit more of a spin around different poses and things like that as well, that I didn't really cover in this video. With that being said, stay safe and take care. I will catch you all in a future video, which hopefully will be Optimus Prime or something else on the channel. See ya.